In Grappler Baki, a lot of the fighters do some pretty insane stuff. Stuff that's outright impossible in real life. You've got 146-year-old men, Jurassic cavemen, walking nuclear bombs, and even clones of ancient warriors. Now, I don't get this personally, but there are some people out there that'll downplay the shit out of the verse, saying things like, Yujiro is only wall level, Musashi isn't even a bullet timer, Baki isn't even as skilled as real-life martial artists. Well, I got news for y'all. I'm here to put that shit to bed in this video, and I'll roll on any motherfucker that tries to clap back. Shout out to Reddit user FJ668. Dude is doing God's work on r/Grappler Baki and r/respect threads, making Baki character respect threads, or compilations of their greatest feats and statements for those of you that don't know. If you guys see him on Reddit, send him lots of love, but I'll be using his respect threads to construct a list of some of the most impressive, outlandish, and insane feats in the Grappler Baki series, starting our first episode of this series with Gouki Shibukawa, a 75-year-old Japanese jujutsu expert so skilled, his nickname in the series is The Master. Warning, major spoilers for Grappler Baki, New Grappler Baki, Son of Ogre, Baki-Do, and Baki-Do 2 may be discussed. Viewers' discretion is advised.
Why do I feel like I linger between the words to say the words to remember?
For starters, let's talk strength. Just looking at him, you'd assume he ain't much, just a shrivel-up old man, but even grandpas in Baki kick ass harder than world-class athletes in real life. Just recently in the manga, during the current Fighter v Grand Sumo tournament, Shibukawa fought a sumo wrestler in round 1 named Kyoge, a 7'7", 639-pound man. Shibukawa, who was only 5'1" and 103 pounds, was able to flip this man despite a plus 500-pound weight difference. If that isn't crazy enough, he even defeated Roger Harland, an Olympic top-class wrestler, a 6'4", 306-pound man, with one finger. He simply jabbed him in the throat with his finger, and Roger dropped like a sack of potatoes. I guess both could be attributed to skill to some degree, but everything the master does is with skill. That's just how old boy rolls. Now, if you've heard everything so far and you aren't impressed, just wait until you hear what kind of hits this monster of a man has taken, only to keep trucking on. For example, Kosho, during their maximum tournament fight, used the eye ground crush on Shibukawa, smashing his eye into his orbital bone to break it. It would have been much more devastating had Shibukawa's eye not been made of easily breakable glass, but to have your glass eye smashed into your skull and still go on to win the fight is definitely still amazing. Something similar, but even more impressive, happened to Shibukawa recently in the manga as well, when Kyoge smashed Shibukawa with a devastating impact of a strike, launching his ass out of the universe, smashing him into the stands all busted up looking. It was the most solid hit Kyoge landed, and this strike from a man 6 times bigger than him did more damage to Shibukawa in one hit than Shibukawa had done to Kyoge throughout the entire fight thus far, also shattering his glass eye. Despite the massive blow, Shibukawa still overcame the giant of a man, tanking his attacks and wholly outlasting him. So we know Shibukawa's got some superhuman strength and some godlike durability and endurance, but what about the boy's speed? Can this old man kick it into
maximum overdrive? Hi-ya!
The answer? Fuck yes he can. During his fight with Jack, the very same Jack Hanma that was the peak and pinnacle of even superhuman fighters for the majority of the series, barring fighters like Kaku, Pickle, Musashi, and his family, was fighting Shibukawa in the semifinals of the Maximum Tournament. Jack got played mighty fucking hard twice during the fight. At first, he tried to land one of his famous slobber-knocking, jaw-shattering uppercuts, and Shibukawa done dodged that shit without even breaking his stance. Shibukawa dodged so quickly and so precisely with such minimal movement that viewers thought Jack feigned the punch at first until somebody noticed where Shibukawa's feet had slid backwards. The motherfucker dodged the punch without so much as barely moving. To add insult to injury, later on in the fight, after Jack nibbles on one of Shibukawa's Achilles tendons, Shibukawa is able to dodge dozens of Pac-Man ass bite attempts from Jack while hopping on one foot. This mad lad was completely untouchable until Jack countered his style. Speaking of his style, that just might be one of the most dumb, stupid, busted things about him. This dude can manhandle dudes built like buildings like it's nothing. He doesn't use raw strength, and as a matter of fact, he barely uses any of his own strength at all. His primary technique in his jujutsu, his aiki, allows him to use things like circular movements, small joint manipulation, leverage, center of gravity, and balance to use his opponent's own physical force against them. Two extremely dummy stupid showings of this borderline supernatural technique is when he fought Oliver Biscuit and Kyoge, two of the physically strongest characters in the entire series, barring of course the characters that hit as strong as nuclear bombs. First, Oliver, the man that powerlifts nearly 20-ton helicopters, got completely outclassed in a grapple, with Shibukawa first submitting him with a handshake and then dislocating his wrist while being thrown by him. Now if that isn't on some Dragon Ball Z type shit right there, we have Shibukawa defeating a man so big he makes him look like a child with nothing but skill. Though his Aiki was clashed and even overcome at some points in the battle, that just makes the showing even more impressive, as through a combination of karate striking like Ippon Ken, sumo throws like the Dashinage, and of course his Aiki, Shibukawa's jujutsu defeated a man over 2 feet taller than him and over 500 pounds heavier than him. With all that in mind, you've got to give it to the old boy. He's easily one of the most badass characters in Baki, and quite possibly one of the most skilled martial artists in Baki, a series chock full of some of the greatest martial artists in fiction in terms of skill, combat IQ, and ability. My boy definitely deserves the title, The Master. Well, I hope after all that, you guys kind of get the picture of just how powerful Baki characters are, and Shibukawa, other than his ability to predict people's attacks via reading their intentions and his Aiki, doesn't even make top 10 strongest fighters for me. Hope you guys enjoyed, and keep an eye out for my next episode in the series covering Retsu Kaio, the physical embodiment of the 4,000 years of Chinese martial arts. See y'all next time. Peace.
Feats.